Okay, now you stick around and get these directions. Don't go wandering off on me like you have in the past there. I hate for you to get lost when I finally tell you about the story of Christening Leena Too. Now, that's coming. Be patient. Anyway, now that we've turned around in the gravel parking lot of Polki Joe's Tavern and are headed down Loading Dock Road straight towards Scuppernong Cove, I thought it might be a good idea to share with you some of the things you can see or expect to see on your way down there. First off, on the north side of the road, that 12-foot berm and chain link fence I told you about last week from Gator Slough Hunt Club, you'll continue seeing that. On the south side are the pine woods. Now those are the pine forests that have those skinny little trees that they cut 2x4s or make paper out of. Now all that lasts for about a quarter mile or so. And then you'll come to a yellow sign that says trucks entering highway. It's right at where there's a wide dirt logging road that heads in both directions from Loading Dock Road. On the northwest corner, you'll see a very small sign on which is scribbled Gator Slough Hunt Club. Right next to it on one of those old creosote posts on there is a sign that says Zach's Linger a Bit Lodge. Now, if you head down that dirt loading road, logging road, tongue tripped over my tongue again. Anyway, you'll find both of those places, and they're pretty cool. They're a little old-fashioned, a little old cracker, and all that, but it's a great place to go and get away for a little bit. Anyway, 1,000 feet after that intersection, you'll drive through a small neighborhood of 10, 12, maybe 15 homes. One little side street that goes down there. They're all built probably about in the 70s. They're all well manicured. They're on a couple of acres apiece, maybe 2 to 5 acres. The fourth house down on Loading Dock Road on the left is Wes Mosby's home. He and his wife Ola have been living there ever since the 90s. Now Wes is an independent trucker and owns a Volvo rig. You'll know whether or not he's home if you see it parked out in the front yard, right next to Loading Dock Road. Ola, she's amazing. She keeps that house and grounds immaculate. She particularly loves her yard, and you should see it when it's springtime and the azaleas bloom. It's just absolutely amazing. You'll find her out there every weekend in that yard, digging in the dirt, as Wes fondly says. Now, Wes first met Olith, all smiles, that's her maiden name, while he was attending Tallahassee Community College. That was right after he left the Army following Desert Storm. She was attending FSU at the time, and they bumped into each other at Bullwinkle's Bar on Tallahassee Avenue. Now, I know some of you looking at this know exactly what Bullwinkle's Bar is. You most likely have been there. After we've passed through their neighborhood, on the left-hand side will be the entrance to Clear Lake Estates. Now, Clear Lake Estates was developed in the early 80s. All of the homes were built along the fairways of a par 3 executive golf course. Now, out in the back, right by Clear Lake, is the country club, Clear Lake Golf and Country Club. Now, when we get back to Loading Dock Road, we'll continue heading west for a little bit, on down the road. On the right-hand side, the north side, will be Matchett Masonry Contractors. Now, they are a regional masonry subcontractor doing work all over Florida. You'll know when they have work or not by whether or not Kurt's fancy RV bus is parked in the back or not. Now, Kurt's Matchett, that is, lives in a sprawling stone house out on Cox Country Ranchettes on 10 acres. He lives there with his, I think, maybe fifth wife, okay? I mean, he's a ladies' man, and I don't know, whatever. Anyway, more of that story some other day on that. That's for darn sure. Right next door there is a Southeastern Tool and Die, and you can only tell this is there, and it's red brick warehouse building by the little dinky sign on the side. Now, the thing about it is you only see 1 or 2 cars there every now and then. between you and me, that actually seems a little bit on the odd side. I don't know. Maybe I'm not a trusting soul. But anyway, whatever. Across the road is Greenwood Garden Center and Johnson's Nursery. Now, Jimmy Johnson and his wife Lauren are the owners and operators. They bought Greenwood Garden Center just about 10 years ago. And 5 years ago, they built the greenhouses out on the back 5 acres. In those greenhouses, they grow plants for a company that leases them to office buildings around the state. Now, Greenwood Garden Center, up by the road, is a building that surrounds an ancient live oak covered with hanging moss. It has a flat roof and is enclosed by glass walls. It was built in the early 60s and designed by Bud Morton, the architect. I'd tell you more about him as we travel about Scuppernong Cove. He's responsible for a lot of prominent buildings from the early 60s around town. Inside, you will find the most calming experience you will ever have. With the moisture from the plants, the shade of the oak, the gentle hum of the floor fan, you don't need any air conditioning. It is just plain downright cool inside. And I don't just mean the temperature. The only sounds that you hear while you're in there are the sounds of the wind chimes and the squawking of the serenades of Montego. Now, Montego is the macaw that was given to Jimmy by his dad, Reverend Johnson. Later on, I'll introduce you to Reverend Johnson and his wife, June. Now, June wouldn't let Reverend Johnson have any birds of his own anymore. That's particularly after his misfortune with one of the pandemonium of parrots that he had getting out of his custody. It was a number of years ago, but they still make their home in a great big sable palm down by the cove. Anyway, right next to there is an old house out of which they sell firewood and stuff like that and get a few old junk old cars hanging around on that. And every once in a while, whoever lives there decides they're going to call it a used car lot too. Depends on the seasons, I guess. Okay, right next door is Ken's Building Supplies, Tack and Feed. Their motto is, we got it, we will get it. Then there's Ansel Slim Shoemaker's barn, an old wooden barn with a rusty old galvanized roof. It's pretty big and all boarded up, and it's been that way since he passed away. Now, when we meet Beth later on, when we get in town, we can ask her, maybe she'll share with us the story about that barn. I think there's still something we need to learn about that. Now, this is where the road changes. It goes from a simple old 2-lane country road to a 2-lane with parallel parking on both sides, concrete curbs, and sidewalks. Okay, now this indicates that we're just a short distance from Scuppernong Boulevard. On the north side of that road is a bunch of old magnolia trees in line. They're roughly about 40, 50 feet apart. Behind those magnolias, you'll see a wide canal, about 150 feet or so, with a concrete seawall and a sidewalk promenade along the south side. On the other side, the north-hand side, it's all wild. It's part of the Gator Slough Hunt Club. Now, into that canal is where Gator Slough dumps into it over a weir. Now, Gator Slough is a man-made canal running through Gator Slough Hunt Club to control flooding. Finally, we've arrived at Scuppernong Cove Boulevard. On the southeast corner is going to find Walton's Garage. It's been there since 1945. The original garage was torn down somewhere around 1968 and replaced by a brand new shiny Texaco station. You know that from then. It is an area hangout. The regulars gather there every morning for over the years for morning coffee and just sitting around sharing their latest boast and swap car stories. Walton's for a car guy, it's a great place to get away. It also has been the place that you have trusted with your ride, especially when you wanted that first car you were going to give to your teenager checked out. Now, it has been run by B.J. Walton since he inherited it back from his father around 90. The task of keeping this tradition going recently changed hands, though. That's when it was given over to Fernando Ramos. It was sort of a passing of the wrench, so to speak. Fernando was handed the wrench when he married BJ's daughter in 2006 and received the business as a wedding gift from BJ. It was about BJ's time to retire. His dad hung on for a long time. Now, that was right after Fernando returned from a tour in Iraq with the Florida National Guard. The sacred tradition of hanging out around cars and sharing the latest scuttlebutt from Scuppernong Cove has taken on a new twist since Fernando took the wrench. Fernando is not only an expert mechanic, he is also a weekend stock car racer. All the chatting gets really revved up when he cranks that car of his up and rolls it onto the trailer for the trip to the track over in St. Augustine. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that. All right, I did it. I kept you here for a long time again. All right, I've done it again. Most likely I've been bending your ear too much longer than you have the patience will last. So next time, I promise we will head on down Scuppernong Boulevard. Hopefully you'll get to understand just why the folks at Scuppernong Cove are more than happy that they can't find themselves on Rand McNally's maps or are spied on by Google Earth, and God forbid you try to use your GPS to get here. Until then, fair winds, smooth seas, happy landings, K.E. Kennell. We're friends just like you, just plain Ol Karl. Bye.